Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host Mike Lepre, here with my co-host Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
Now in this episode of Screwball, we're going to discuss 5 games each that we watched live on TV. 5 games that we remember really fondly, or maybe games that we remember a specific moment from. Any game, specifically postseason, it seems like is the theme here. Games that we just really stick in our minds. Maybe we think of a certain year or a certain team or something like that. So we decided just to discuss some games that we thought that maybe you guys could remember, or games that we certainly talk about a lot here. So we've got 5 each you want to talk about. We got some honorable mentions, and why don't you kick us off here, Frank?
So my number one game I watched live, and arguably one of the best games to be played in baseball, especially in the last 10, 15 years at least. And that is Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, Cardinals versus Rangers, also known as the David Freese game. The game was played on October 27th, 2011. It was about 4.5 hours long. This game stands out because it's not just the one or two moments that everyone thinks of. The fact that the whole game is just back and forth. Texas take an early lead. Then St. Louis comes back. It takes a 2-run lead in the first. Texas ties it in the second. Back and forth the whole game. Rangers take a 3-run lead in the 7th. Rangers, they have a World Series in sights. They're essentially 9 outs away from winning a World Series, up 3 runs, with a team that offense that can continue to put up runs, and a bullpen that was pretty strong with Natalie Feliz and guys like that who you're thinking this game is just about all but over.
Yeah.
The Cardinals cut it to 2-run deficit in the 8th inning. So 6 outs away, they're still down 2. Rangers are still in great shape. But that all changes in the 9th. They get the guys on base. Freese comes up, battles, hits the ball to right field. Nelson Cruz goes back, jumps way early, doesn't know where the wall is, doesn't know how to play the wall, whatever the issue is. Ball bounces off the wall, Karam's away from him, he bangs into the wall. Pujols scores. I always remember Pujols waving his arm, waving the next runner in.
Yep.
He scores. David Freese dives into third base head first, going crazy. Crowd's going crazy. Busch Stadium's just about to explode. And it was just unbelievable. You think, that's all, that's it. That's that. Who is this guy? Really, David Freese had a great year, has a good story, but you think you get one moment that game. You don't think you're gonna get 3 moments in the game, But that's not it.
No.
That was far from it.
Yeah.
So the game gets tied. They get out of the inning. 10th inning goes by. Nothing happens. So surprisingly, nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's just a normal inning.
Yeah, for one inning.
11th inning comes in. Hamilton hits a home run. MVP, MVP of the Rangers comes in, just crushes a home run. Now you're thinking this game's definitely over.
Yeah.
So they come in, bomb at 11th, fight, scrap, get a couple guys on base, down to their last out again, second time.
Yep.
Down to their last strike. And I think the moment that gets forgotten in this game, Lance Berkman fights, gets the RBI single, up the middle, kind of over second base, kind of that area.
Yeah.
Gets the line drive up the middle for the base hit. That ties the game. It's game's crazy. The game's crazy, and you're going, Jesus Christ! They just took the lead. Now they fought back. So then you're coming up, and then boom, next thing, Dave Freese comes up, leads off the inning. How you doing? Home run. Game over. No waiting around. Hey, unbelievable. You see him coming up, and you're like, oh no, he can't. No. You can't do it again. He can't do it again. He can't, come up with a big hit again. You're not even thinking really a home run.
No.
Just any big hit, like a double, something like that. You're like, he can't. Leads off the inning. He's like, yeah, watch this. Boom. Crushes the ball dead center field. And Joe Buck has his,
We'll see you later tonight or whatever.
Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's
like
what it was.
Like his father's call.
Yep.
Crowd's going crazy. He's, got his hand up, going around the bases. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It's one of the greatest games. I think it is the greatest game I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's up there.
And there's been a few, especially we're going to go through this list for more recent years. But that's every time someone's like, "What's the great?" That's the first thing I go to.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that game. It was unbelievable. The crowd, the outcome, just the hero twice.
Yeah.
And there's so much to this game. It's so the Cardinals were the first team to come from behind twice, down 2 or more runs in the 9th inning or later.
Wow.
Okay. and they're also the first team to score in the 8th inning, the 9th inning, the 10th inning, and the 11th innings of a game.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They down to their last strike twice. The game's all but over. But they couldn't get them out. And that's really was just, it's unbelievable. And that's just what the Cardinals, really, ever since we've been alive watching baseball. That's what we always known the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of our games you're going to see Cardinals. Because, one, they always had a good team. One, they have a great franchise. They know how to make a franchise and get players and build an organization. But they're never out of a game.
No.
They're never out of a game. Similar to those Giants teams, those Royal teams, those teams that you remember, those teams that were good, they're never out of games. The Cardinals, the whole organization, any year, I'm like, oh, I don't worry about them. They're never out of it.
Mm-hmm.
10 games out of the division, never out of it. 10 runs out of a game, never out of it. They're just never out of anything.
Yeah.
And that was the mantra of that whole team.
Yeah.
And it was just unbelievable. And watching that game, staying up, watching the game, you think it's over 2-3 times, and then they're like, nope. And then my brother being a Cardinals fan, so, and I really wasn't much of a Rangers, really rooting for the Rangers, so I was rooting for the Cardinals, and then you're like, whoop. Whoa. So you're just up and down. It's crazy. It's back and forth. It's everything you want in a game with all the stakes right there on the line.
Yeah.
And then they had to come back and play Game 7.
Yeah, it wasn't even like that was it. Now you got to win the next game.
Yeah. So, I mean, Game 7 was good. It wasn't quite living up to Game 6, but nothing good.
No, but
still, Game 7 was good. The series was good. It was a very good series. Series earlier on, Pujols hit 3 home runs in one game, which I thought that was an unbelievable game. At least individual performance. But that game 6, I mean, that's the best game I've ever watched.
Yeah, that's a game of legend. And I've told you this story, countless times, that I went to bed. I think it was a school night. Had to have been around that time of year. And I remember the Rangers took a pretty commanding lead, or at least a commanding enough to where I'm like, that's probably over. So I just went to bed, and I fell asleep. I missed the Freeze triple, so I missed that. So I missed them tying the game. So I wake up in the middle of the night, and I see the game still on. I'm like, wait a minute. And I see Hamilton hit the home run. I'm like, oh, okay, that's about it. And I go back to sleep, and I missed David Freeze's home run. Yeah. So I wake up, and I go, wait a minute, they won?
Yeah.
What happened?
And not just and Rangers wise, it wasn't just to win the game in the World Series. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the series.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like, you were 6 outs away from winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
You had the series.
Yeah.
You were 3 inches away, 4 inches away, 5 inches away, whatever it was. Nelson Cruz's glove away from catching that ball, away from winning a World Series.
Yeah. Say he doesn't try to play it like he did. Say he tries to play the carom off the wall and just waits for it. The game could be completely different.
Yeah. You might tie it up at that point. You might. I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it on that play at least.
Yeah. But still, I mean, give him a shot.
Or he just goes balls to the wall and just catches it and face first right into the wall and just breaks everything he has and wins the World Series.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, it's just, there was so much on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And just so many things happened with so many big names in that game.
Oh, yeah.
On both sides. I mean, Beltre played, Berkman played, Pujols was in it, Molina was in it. I mean, everybody was in it. There was so many big names in it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, probably one of the best World Series maybe of all time, and certainly of the last 20 years or so, certainly in the 2000s, 100%. So for my first game here, it's kind of a similar, not quite on the biggest stage like that, but a similar situation to a guy getting it done twice in one game is the 2012 ALDS Game 3, the Yankees and the Orioles, the Raul Ibanez game. And for me, the game itself, I remember being, the good Orioles team. The Yankees were struggling, I believe, up to that point in the playoffs. They had trouble hitting. So they really, especially at the end of the season, relied on Raul Ibanez's heroics. If, any Yankee fans out there that remember this run. And so we'll pick it up here with the 9th inning where Raul Ibanez pinch hits for Alex Rodriguez. That's how bad Alex Rodriguez, to that point, had been hitting in the playoffs, and the kind of that the way A-Rod was in the playoffs, kind of that.
It was also like sending a message to A-Rod.
Yeah.
Well, not really like they didn't like him, or the Yankee organization didn't like him. Well, there was a message from the Yankee, almost like the Yankee organization or from the coaching staff too, who was just like, we have no problem taking anybody out.
Yeah.
And not that they didn't like him or he did anything wrong.
No.
It was just like we had no problem taking you out or taking somebody out to give someone else a chance to maybe help the team.
Yeah.
So it was just like I remember watching it and just being like, it's crazy. You're taking A-Rod out, putting Ibanez in. It's like, this is more than just this game, it feels like.
Yeah.
But there was no hatred or nothing against A-Rod.
No.
It was more than the game. It's like if they would have done that with Jeter or Mo or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, like we're trying to win a game, but you didn't really think you would see it.
Yeah, exactly.
You almost just talk about it, but you don't see it. And then they sees it, and you know.
Yeah.
I guess older generations, probably Billy Martin with Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
You don't think you'd ever see it, but you've seen it. He was like, yeah, get off the field.
Manager made a decision.
And then things exploded.
Yeah.
This wasn't quite exploded, but.
No, yeah. So, like you said, just the symbolism of it. And, I don't think there was any ill will towards A-Rod or any bad blood there. It was just that they went with the hot hand. They took their chances. They liked the lefty-righty matchup, I guess, better against a guy. Jim Johnson was the pitcher. And at that time, Jim Johnson had been a pretty good closer. He had pretty good stuff, and yeah, I mean he was doing well for the Orioles. That whole Buck Showalter era, the Orioles they always got that player that really wasn't that big of a star, but they turned him into a star. Jim Johnson at that point had been really good. Anyway, he comes in for A-Rod. It's an electric game-tying home run. They tie the game at 2. So the game is pretty low scoring, and the game remains scoreless up until the 11th inning when Raul Ibanez comes up again. And on the first pitch, lefty-lefty matchup against Brian Mattis, hits another home run to win the game. It was one of the most insane feelings I got watching that game. It sticks out in my head more than maybe because it's just that Raul Ibanez. Like, it's almost this guy at the end of his career. I think he was 40 at that point. He pinch hitting for Alex Rodriguez, one of the biggest stars ever to play the game, and it propelled them. They ended up winning that series against the Orioles, and I believe they got swept by the Tigers the next series. So it didn't, Raul Ibanez's heroics couldn't continue there. But just to win that series in a hard-fought season against the Orioles, it just got capped off really well with Raul Ibanez.
Yeah, I remember watching that as well. And like you said, they go on to get beat by the Tigers next series. And for baseball fans, it was more than just getting beat by the Tigers. It was also the series that Jeter broke his leg.
Yeah.
And it was really the end of his career.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
It was the spiral downwards or the drop-off from a higher-up player to really just, an average player.
Yeah.
But, I remember watching that game, and I remember Ibanez hitting a home run, and I couldn't believe it because I'm like, A-Rod got sat, and then Ibanez hits a home run. I'm like, what's going on? And then I remember Ibanez coming up again, and I'm like, oh, man, this guy, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like a big question mark.
Yeah.
Brian Mattis on the mound, too, if everyone knows him. He had like a 15 ERA one year. I think he has like the record for highest ERA in a season or something crazy.
Yeah, as a starter, yeah.
Yeah, awful. So it just makes sense just to punch him one more time right in the face.
Yeah.
But I see Ibanez come up and hit the home run, and I remember instantly saying, that's the first time. That's the first ever. That's the first time ever someone came in to a game in the 9th inning and hit the home run to tie it. And then hit a home run and within the next 2 innings or an extra innings to take the lead or win the game.
Yep.
And then later on that night or the next day or whatever, they said, oh, that was the first time in postseason history or whatever that it's been done. I knew it. Once it happened, I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way.
When would that ever happen?
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that, and I was just like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really an unbelievable moment.
Yeah.
Big, almost like Raul Ibanez becomes a Yankee legend, even though just a few seasons prior, he's facing them as a Philly in the World Series. It's weird how baseball works like that.
But it just goes to show, again, another team that just can't quite catch a break. Similar to the Twins and the A's and teams like that who can't really catch a break. And the Orioles are just in that, especially against the Yankees. Again, of course.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Mayer reaching over and some other games to go along with but the Orioles just can't quite. They haven't been able to in a long time.
No, and they had some good teams too. Machado in his early years,
Nelson Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
And
Chris Davis when he was hitting 50 home runs or whatever.
Yeah, Dalman Young.
Yeah. They'll get us started.
Yeah. So, but that was a great game, and just quite the ruckus.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So, so go on to my next game. The next, greatest game I watched live, I would say, is probably the AL wildcard game in 2014.
Yep.
The A's and Royals.
Mm-hmm.
So the game was played September 30th, 2014. Obviously, it was early on in the new wildcard era with the playing game essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So Kansas City, oddly enough, you just mentioned Ibanez, was a big part of the Royals kind of turning around when he kind of got there. It was like, hey, you guys are good. Stop acting like you're not good, and realize this and start playing better. Second half of that year, Royals take off, get hot, go crazy. Go crazy.
Yeah,
and just play some of the best baseball they've ever played. So that game, and the A's were a team kind of good the year before. Made some trades to be good that year, and they were in the hunt. They did what they needed to be. They're in the wild card game. So the game goes. The A's take a 2-0 lead, early on. Royals cut a 2-1, and the Royals take a 3-2 lead. So it's going back and forth. Then Oakland jumps out and takes a 7-3 lead in the sixth inning. Brandon Moss ends up having 2 home runs in the game. If you guys remember Brandon Moss, especially with the A's, he had really played good with them.
He sure did.
But then the Royals come back. It's 7-6 after 8 innings. So the game's right there. The game, all of a sudden, Royals storm back, kind of fight back, get back in the game. They end up tying it up in the ninth inning, a couple of hits. I think it was like Hosmer and Lorenzo Cain, their main guys.
Yeah.
They get a couple of hits and they tie it up. One really thing that stood out to me though in that game was Brandon Finnegan pitched. Young guy. What really made that unbelievable for me was he pitched that year for TCU in the College World Series.
Yep.
That same year, like months prior, like couple months prior.
Yep.
Like what, May?
Something
June,
like that.
Give or take, in the College World Series. So he pitched, and then pitched in the MLB playoffs the same year. I think he was like the second or third player ever to do that.
Yeah. I remember that.
So I remember seeing that, and that kind of stuck in my head. And then obviously the game being great, so a bunch of stuff like that. So the A's take the 8-7 lead in the 12th. Game's all but over. It's over. You're thinking, it's over. Kansas City, great run, but the A's kind of were a little bit better, kind of built a little bit better, more of a sustainable team compared to Kansas City, kind of getting hot in the second half and just running.
Yeah.
But that's just not what the Royals were, that team, or the next year's team. So they get a couple guys on, they fight back, the craziness, they're stealing bases. They end up having 7 steals that game.
Wow.
If that explains to you kind of how those Royals teams were.
Yeah.
Bullpen and stealing and running and mess.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah.
90s, 80s baseball, Cardinals baseball with Ozzie Smith and teams like that. Old school baseball kind of. So they end up, the biggest moment is Perez hits the ball down the line right off the reach of Josh Donaldson. And the Royals storm back and they win the game right there. They walk it off.
Yep.
A game that the A's were leading and tied up. Winning and tied up. Winning and tied up. The Royals came back multiple times. So with the fact that the Royals, a team that, got hot, a team that hasn't been there in a while, versus another team that really hasn't been there in a while. So that was kind of exciting. Either team I was happy with, winning. Kind of a new format still early on, the wild card format.
Yep.
12 innings they play, so extra innings is always fun. Playoff game. I mean, Finnegan with the College World Series, I think 7 steals. It's just an exciting game back to back. But really makes it just worse for me is that as an Adam Dunn fan, he played, 16 years, 15 years, whatever. I think he had just about the most games played ever without a playoff game.
Yep.
Without one playoff appearance. He gets traded to the A's that year. I remember his first game with the A's, it's a home run because, big donkey, that's what he does. And played decent down the stretch for the A's. And so you're thinking, he's finally, a guy causes no problems, great guy in the locker room, guy deserves it, gets his chance.
Nope.
No, the A's don't do it. The A's have a chance to pinch hit Adam Dunn, and they pinch hit Nick Punto. I don't get it. A guy who's always made a name for himself, really, from multiple positions and just kind of playing a little bit of defense. Couldn't hit.
Yeah.
And you got Adam Dunn on the bench. One swing of the bat, you get the ball 500 feet.
Yeah.
In a game that's right neck and neck.
Yeah, you need a game, you need one run. Who are you putting in?
The guys were on base.
Yeah.
The guys, at the very least, he's got a great chance of working a walk.
Oh, yeah. He was good at that.
You know what I mean? I mean, guys on base, you can't really shift him that much. I mean, it's right there. And you pinch hit Nick Punto. And Dunn never got his chance. He was one of the few players that didn't play that game.
I think he was the only one on the A's bench left, right?
I mean, he was either one or two. There wasn't many guys in both teams that didn't play.
Yeah.
Nick Punto got in. Christian Colon for the Royals got in. I mean, everyone was in except Adam Dunn.
It's unbelievable.
And he retired.
Yep. That was it.
He was a guy who he never wanted to play for the money. He played for the love of the game. He said that. And then we got to the A's and got in the hunt of playoffs. He kind of got a little bit of spark back in him. And I think if he would have got into that game, even just get into that game, he might have played a little bit longer. But if they get into that game, they win, I think he plays another year or two. I think he gets that fire back in him. Another year or two, he hitting 500 home runs. We got to talk about him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But them not playing him just broke his heart.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean, he doesn't play. He's sitting on the bench watching the team, and then he watches them lose. So it's like, not only did I not contribute, but we're not moving on. It really is demoralizing if you really think about it.
It took 15 years or whatever to get there, and then doesn't get to play.
Yeah, it's.
I believe he was also the only player, or one or two players that didn't play in the All-Star game when he was in 2012.
I'm not sure.
When they played the Royals, when was the Royals had the All-Star game at Kansas City? 2012.
Got to be right around there, yeah.
I think he was one of the few players that didn't play in that.
Sounds about right.
They didn't play him.
Yeah.
That never got invited to home run derby. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
They complained that the guy all he did was hit home runs and not in home run derby. But I remember that All-Star game because he played with the White Sox, and the first game after the All-Star game, they played at Kansas City, and his first at bat, he had a ball off his own face, dead center field at the screen at Kansas City, like way up there off his own face. It was crushed.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there you go. He was just like, see, I hit the ball.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so he just got bad luck his whole career. So, all those things added together, for me, made it a great game. But really, just looking at it on paper, I mean, it was one of the greatest games we've seen in the last at least 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But just it was really exciting. And two teams that really deserved to win and never been there, or haven't been there in a while, I should say. So everybody's kind of rooting for really both teams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just a really good game. And I remember watching the whole thing and just being like, what's going on?
Yeah, for the reasons you said is why it sticks out in my head. First of all, is the infancy of the wild card game. So it was one of the first few we seen, which was awesome. There was two teams that you don't see often. Just to see the Royals, just them, was awesome. I know for you, I was watching Adam Dunn. I remember being like, why aren't they putting him? Just hit a home run. That's all you need. One run, bang, put him in. And he sat on the bench. I mean, I remember too. I think what sticks out in my mind, what's so vivid about that game is that ball down the line, that gets past the third baseman. I remember that. I don't know why I remember just that specific moment vividly, but that was a great game.
Yeah, Perez kind of wrapping that ball.
Yeah,
down the third base line,
barely
diving. It kind of like I think it might just tip off the end of his glove a little bit.
Yeah,
but it was almost like a metaphor for the game because everything was just that close for the A's, but they couldn't quite get it. And for Dunn and for everybody involved, it was just that close, and they couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And what the difference could it be if the A's are the team that wins that game? The Royals maybe don't win the next year.
Yeah, that's true.
Or the A's go on and win, and
then you have an A's World Series. It's like,
and Dunn keeps playing.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, there's so many things different what could happen just from that one game. I like a lot of these games though, but
yeah,
that's what makes them great.
Yeah, that's true. So the next one I got, not a playoff game, which is one of the few I think we got here, but another Yankee game, and I think this is one that goes beyond Yankees, and I think this is just one of the most remembered games of the last decade for sure. Is Derek Jeter's final home game where he hit the walk-off single. I mean, just an unbelievable, one of the best players that we've seen in the last 20 years or so, last 25 years. He's one of the stars of the game, one of the big legends of the game. And at that point, the Yankees really were what you could call for the Yankees a rough patch. They really were in and out of the playoffs. They really didn't have that competitive teams. A-Rod and Jeter and Posada and Mo and Pettit, these guys are getting old. They really didn't have that competitive a team. They really only had Cano to that point, was a real star. So they did. This was, you think it'd be like real poetic to have Mo and Jeter have their last seasons be in the playoffs, but it didn't work that way. We got the final home game September 25th, 2014 for Jeter, and picking things up in I believe the top of the ninth here. David Robertson comes in for the save. They had a 3-run lead or something like that, and Robertson blows the 3-run lead. And I remember thinking in my head, if he blows this lead, Derek Jeter could come up for a walk-off. I mean, but it's so pie in the sky, you're like, well, that'd be nice. But so he does blow the game. I believe off a 2-run home run and another RBI single maybe or something like that. But he blows the 3-run lead. I believe Adam Jones actually hit a home run if I remember correctly. And so when it shows, when he gets to the last out and it's tied up and it's going to the bottom of the ninth, it shows the next 3 men up. Jeter's a little third one up. I'm like, no way. I'm like, is this really going to happen? I think everyone was thinking of watching this game. And I believe Antoine Richardson leads off and gets a hit. I believe whoever was up after him bunts him over, gets him to second, or he stole. Either way, he ends up on second. And under normal circumstances, because I believe this is a good Orioles team, and at that point, probably every game counted for them. Under normal circumstances, you put up 4 and you're walking Jeter. You've been on first and second, 1 out. It's a no-brainer. But I remember thinking if he walks Jeter right now, his final home game, Buck Showalter and the Orioles would have a hard time getting out of New York. So he doesn't walk him, and Derek Jeter has his patented inside-out swing, shoots it to right field. Antoine Richardson comes around third, scores. Jeter ends his Yankee home career in the only way that you could figure Derek Jeter's going to end it. And I just remember almost being in tears, like my childhood shortstop, the only shortstop I ever saw the Yankee, growing up as a Yankee fan, and him retiring that way. It was just you can't even write that. It was so perfect, and I just remember the end of that game so vividly. And the game itself, I'm pretty sure, was pretty good too. But I didn't want to undermine the legend of that final hit with the small details of earlier in the game. But yeah, just I know for you too as a Yankee fan, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I believe Richardson pinch ran though. I believe he came in as a pinch runner.
Is that right?
I think he pinch ran for somebody. I don't remember who he hit for though. I mean, who he pinch ran for.
I'm not sure. I just remember he scored the run.
But yeah, there's a big trivia question for a lot of people.
Yeah, who scored the run?
We're going to do trivia somewhere or whatever. That's going to be a big one for years to come. So that's always a good one because people always forget who scored there. And Nick Markakis was the right fielder too.
Yeah, he threw that ball
So I
in.
remember when he hit it over there, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a mess because Markakis is an unbelievable fielder. So I'm like, this is gonna be a play to play here. But Richardson obviously really was just a runner. He did. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he might have pinch ran though. I'm not sure though.
I wouldn't be. Yeah, that
I
makes.
think he might have just came in to pinch run September call up, so he was just part of the runners.
Yeah,
part of 40 guys come up and you're just a runner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
There wasn't more to say about that game. I mean,
it was an unbelievable game, and an unbelievable moment for baseball as a whole. I think kind of like a passing of the torch. Yeah. Finally, this guy's kind of gone, and the next guy is in. I think the torch kind of got past the Trout, really. Yeah. But it's kind of whatever. Yeah. Some people think it might be got past somebody else, but I think it really got past Trout.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm hard pressed to find someone to argue that it wasn't Trout. He's just that good. You know,
and it's similar character.
Oh yeah,
type of guys don't really say nothing and then play the game. But yeah, it was a great game. And my next game I want to mention is another game that's not a playoff game, and it was actually an early season game. It was in April. It's April 17th, 2010. It was the Cardinals at the Mets, or actually it might have been at Cardinals, I believe. Either way, it was Cardinals Mets, and it was a 20-inning game. It was six and a half hours, give or take. And I remember watching it because almost every year they did it for a couple of years. They had like an 18-inning game, and they had a 15-inning game one year, and in this game they had a 20-inning game. The game started at 3:15 or so and ended after 10 o'clock at night. And I remember just kind of being in and out on it, throughout the day until it got a little later out, darker, it started getting, and then I watched. Yeah, I was kind of just checking in on it a little bit, putting SportsCenter on, stuff like that, flipping to it, and then later in the game, I kind of sat down like I'm watching. But the best part about it was, really the best part, it was 0-0 into the 19th.
Oh my God!
Into the 19th inning, it was 0-0, and you're thinking, why? Why is this great? Why do you like that? Yeah, because it's unbelievable. Yeah, you're thinking in a 9-inning game, what's the odds of it being 0-0? Well, this is double that. Yeah, plus one. Yeah. You still got nothing. Yeah. In April, which really the hitting, you think, oh, well, it's either a lot of games are low scoring or they're like 15-15. Yeah. But you don't think 19 innings of it. Yeah. You can't think all the pitchers are going to be on that day. Well, they were. So the Mets end up scoring in the 19th. Jeff Francoeur, sac fly, I think scored Reyes. It's 1-0. The game's over. K-Rod's coming in. No. Cardinals, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Molina comes up. Hey, like that. RBI single. Ties the game up. 19th inning. It's 1-1. Yeah, it's like, your best closer, one of the best closers in baseball, just blew a save. You go, oh my, that never ended. It's never going to end. Pujols scored, but on Yadi's RBI single. Yeah. So then the 20th inning, Reyes comes up, sac fly, takes a 2-1 lead. He's like, please end. They take K-Rod out, and Mike Pelfrey comes in, starting pitcher.
Oh my God.
Comes in, closes the game out, gets a save. I mean, it was just, the game had so many chances for someone to score. Just score. Yeah. So many chances. People on base, second base, third base. There was just so much going on. It was good back and forth, and it was crazy without really any craziness. Yeah. There was no 15 runs or nothing like that, or some crazy play, triple play or something crazy like that. It was just back and forth. Good managing, took a lot of managing to really, kind of negotiate their way through the game, and end up 0-0 through 19, in the 19 innings.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So I just remember watching it because I definitely watched more than half of that game, more than half of it, and it was unbelievable. I'm like, these guys all the time. Like, they're not allowed to play each other no more.
Yeah.
It's all the time. It was like 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
18 innings, 15 innings, 20 innings. I'm like, what's going on? But yeah, it was just a crazy game. And it was one of the better games I watched just because it's 20 innings.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, extra inning games are going to be memorable.
Mm.
So baseball trying to kind of get rid of them I'm not a fan of because extra inning games is memorable. And
Yeah.
then a game like that, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that is unbelievable. I don't remember that game as much. I remember the Jeff Francoeur sac fly. If my memory is right, I think I remember that. But I didn't watch that game. I don't think. I remember waking up. I think the next day and going, "Oh my God, 20 innings."
Yeah.
And just the idea of it being 0-0 for that long is like you said, like every pitcher's on that game, or is every hitter just off that game? Like it's just. I know people like to see the chicks dig the long ball and try to see as many runs as you can get, but so there's something about a 0-0 game, just the tension of it and just the art of pitching at that point.
And it was April.
Yeah.
So the season's early.
Mm-hmm.
And you use a lot of pitchers. You use all your hitters.
Yeah.
A lot of moves and double switches and stuff like that. For a game that some people might say really didn't mean all that much.
Yeah.
Some people might say.
Mm-hmm.
Every game is important, I think. But some people say it's, I believe they were like, Cardinals were like 7-2 or something like that. So there wasn't many games in.
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing 20 innings to decide it. And the best part about it is, if you win that game, you're off to the races for the next, who knows, couple games, you would think. Momentum. You lose that game, that's not good.
That's like losing 2 or 3 games. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So it was just crazy. I always thought that the fact that the game started about 3:15 and ended after 10 o'clock is crazy. It's like, what'd you do today? I watched the game.
Yeah.
All day? Yeah. I did all day.
Yeah, the one game.
And see, what happened? Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man, yeah. That's I can't speak too much to the actual game itself because I don't remember it as much. But man, that's just hearing about it is unbelievable.
Yeah, and like I said, my brother being a Cardinals fan, and his buddy, I think might have even been over at the time or whatever. But he was a Mets fan, so just them coming in and out or whatever, and keep putting on the game, and then you see it 0-0 and it's 20 innings. You're like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, just that was entertaining.
Yeah.
So the next game I got, moving back into the playoff space here, is a game I know me and you watched and just couldn't believe with our eyes, was the 2017 World Series between the Dodgers and the Astros, Game 5. I thought I was the only one that was watching this and going, what is going on? Like, is anyone watching this game?
Oh, I was.
So, if you guys aren't familiar with this particular game, I don't know why you wouldn't be. So the series at this point was tied 2-2.
Trash cans were in full effect.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So to kick off to start in I believe the middle of the game I got here where my notes start. It starts with Kershaw blowing the game.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, naturally.
Playoff game.
Yeah.
World Series. Kershaw?
No.
No, you wouldn't get that, no.
He gives up a home run to Yuli Gurriel, and that breaks the record for most home runs given up by a pitcher in a single postseason. He gave up 8 home runs at that point in the postseason.
Unbelievable. He's
so
the best.
In the half inning after that, so the Astros take a 3-run lead. Kershaw, I believe, gets knocked out of the game at that point. The next half inning, Bellinger responds with a 3-run home run. Bang, tie game. The next half inning, Astros come back, 3-run home run, Altuve. It's like, what is going on here? Already, it's like the 5th or 6th inning. Then the Dodgers take the lead back in the 7th on a misplay by Springer. I believe he came in for a ball. He should have played on a hop. He might have even dove for it. I'm not 100%. Following that, the Astros take an 11-8 lead, and by the 8th inning, the score is 12-9 at this point. And then the 9th, Puig hits a 2-run home run, making it 12-11. And with 2 outs, Chris Taylor comes up and hits a 2-out single up the middle. And then, so the game is tied at 12. And then the 10th inning, Kenley Jansen in his second inning of work. Bregman hits a walk-off single off of Kenley Jansen and caps off just an insane 13-12. Insane offensive game. It's back and forth and back and forth. I believe the Astros, the note was that they had come back 3 or 4 times in that game from a deficit, just in the later innings of that game. It's like, I remember watching it, like, is this ever going to stop? Can any of you pitch?
Yeah.
Anyone?
You get the big at bat, right?
Yeah.
And you have the home run or the double or something, right?
Yeah, the 2-run home run.
Yeah. Yeah. I just remember another game, trying to go to bed and school the next day or whatever it was. And just laying there and I'm watching and I'm like, back and forth early in the game or mid-innings in the game. And then they take the lead and you're like, I got the TV on, just kind of about to go to sleep. And then, boom, something happens. And it wakes you back up a little bit. And you watch and you go, game's over. And, it's over. What? What? Every time. I just kept sitting. I remember getting up and was like, no. I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go to bed. And this can't happen again. And he gets up there and fouling him. And he's right on the fastball. And then he crushes it, and I'm like, unbelievable. I'm like, this is going forever, isn't it? And then Bregman, they come up and fight, and he gets the single, like a broken bat single, right? Or kind of like a loopy.
I believe so, yeah. It was
shortstop's head.
Yeah.
Kind of right off the bat, you kind of knew it was going to be down. The only way, unless it carried out the left field a little too far, but you kind of knew it was a single.
Yeah.
It was getting down. But yeah, it was just unbelievable, back and forth, and the game never ended. It
Yeah.
never seemed like it was going to end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was so much offense, and you're like, it was like the fifth inning, and you're like, wow, this game, this is over, right? And it was like the fifth inning, and you're like, what?
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah, it was a crazy game.
Yeah, I remember that one well.
Yeah, so the next game I want to talk about is the midges game.
Oh.
That's really, I could just stop there.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
But so this was October 5th, 2007, ALDS Game 2. Yankees at Cleveland. Cleveland ends up winning 2-1.
Yep.
So the game starts, Melky gets a home run in the third inning, it's 1-0, and that's pretty much the whole game. Right? The game's about, that was pretty much it. So Sizemore scores on a wild pitch in the 8th inning off of Jabba.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But what happens to get to that point is the midges come in.
Yeah.
And certain times of the year and certain weather, they have this kind of takeover with the river there and stuff like that, where these gnats, these moths, these midges, what they're called.
Yeah.
They just swarm in, and it's like you can't see.
Yeah.
So many of them, like snowstorm kind of thing. And they just take over. They're all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
They're all over all the players. The Indians, I wouldn't say they're used to it because it doesn't happen much.
Yeah.
But at least the organization itself and maybe trainers or whatever, they kind of had an idea. So they kind of knew how to kind of fight it a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of stay clear of it. Yankees are out there spraying bug spray and stuff. Bug spray doesn't work. It makes it worse.
Yeah.
Jabba's got an crawling in his ear.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is rookie Jabba.
Yeah, this is when Jabba was like a big, like up-and-coming star.
Yelling and screaming and pumping his fists, and he was not unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like under 1 ERA, I believe, as a reliever that year, coming
Yeah.
up. And unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Yankees fans loved him.
Yeah,
He was
did.
It was like Babe Ruth, Jabba
Yeah.
that year. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And throwing like 100,
Mm-hmm.
That
electric slider he had.
Yeah. And, but they were just all over him. Up in his arms, in his ear. I just remember sitting on the mound like, all right, calling what pitch? Fastball? And he had bugs like in his ear.
Yeah, on his neck. And
Yeah, like thousands of them.
Yeah.
It was gross. And I remember watching it because I was at my uncle's house watching some of it, and when they tied it up, we finally left my uncle's house when they tied it up and, headed home. But, he ends up Sizemore, great Sizemore. Could have had a really good career, some injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
But, he scores on the wild pitch because of the midges. But the game there was no scoring, really. It was low scoring. And really, I think the Yankees really would have had it.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like there was right in their hand. Jabba, unstoppable, and Mo coming out of the bullpen later on.
Yeah.
Really didn't think there was, it was in their hand.
Yeah, it wasn't much the Indians could do at that point,
Mo ended up pitching like 2 innings after Jabba came, blew the game. Get to the 11th inning, Vizcaíno comes in, guys on base, and Travis Hafner gets the RBI single. Kenny Lofton scores, who was on the Indians 15 years before that and played with the Yankees and White Sox, played every team.
Yep.
Back with the Indians, scores the game-winning run. Just a crazy game with a crazy... And then they were gone, was what gets it.
Mm-hmm.
They just disappeared.
Yeah.
It was like by the time the Indians got back out there, they were still kind of there, not as bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time the Yankees got back out there, they were gone.
Yeah.
It was just that one, and I know Joe Torre looks back and he says he should have just pulled his team. Should have pulled the team right up the field.
That's what I
He
said.
said that's one of his worst regrets, not pulling his team off the, And people, it's memorable because there were so many big names. It was a really good game. That one big moment with the midges, but also people looked at that game and said Jabba really was never the same after that.
He really wasn't.
Went with that. I don't know if that's really the reason, but then he tried being a starter and bounced back, and injuries and Tommy John and broke his ankle on a trampoline. And, just couldn't quite live up to that. And I think that was definitely the start of it. Though, 'cause he blew a game, blew the lead, and as a rookie and midges, it just seemed like
Yeah, everything spiraled.
Insurmountable weight on his shoulders at that point.
Yeah,
and it all started crashing down. And he could never come back. So people consider that like kind of like the death of him.
Yeah.
So it is memorable for a lot of people for that reason. And even as a Yankee fan, just watching, it's just one of the craziest games. I never seen anything like that.
No.
I never seen something take over a game like that.
Yeah, especially at that point, because we were, 11 years old at that point. And I remember watching this be like, why aren't they pulling them off the field? How can they play with these bugs everywhere? It literally, like, Jabba, I don't even know how he could see. It was unbelievable. I remember thinking as a kid, like, just stop playing. Like, just let them leave.
Yeah. It was gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
One of the craziest games I ever watched.
Yeah, for sure. So the next game I got, moving back out of the playoff series here, I've got Felix Hernandez's perfect game that happened 8 years ago, August 15th, 2012. And the reason I remember this so well, obviously, perfect game. There's not many of them. So
I know exactly where I was when he made the last out.
Exactly.
I know exactly where I was.
It's just one of those things. And the reason I remember this one so well is it's probably the only perfect game I remember watching almost all the way through. I believe he picked up the game in about the third or fourth inning. I don't know why. It was on one of the channels at my buddy's house, my buddy John. But we were watching it, and we just happened to put it on. I don't think we had anything to do, so we're just, let's watch this game. And the game ended up, I didn't remember this until looking back on it, but the game was only 1-0. So Felix basically had to be perfect at that point to just get the win. He ended up finishing with 12 strikeouts. He threw 113 pitches, so nothing like, not like, we'll talk about later with a no-hitter, 140 pitches or whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty much was the King Felix kind of special right there. 110 pitches or so. That's what he always kind of did when he was in his prime.
Yeah.
He was just crazy.
Yeah. And, not much else to say. He threw the perfect game. I believe he was rivaled by Jeremy Hellickson, was on the other side of the ball. He only gave up one run, so, he didn't have a bad game necessarily either. But, it's just a dominant, you watch, if you guys out there have ever watched a perfect game or no-hitter to, say the last 3 innings or so, sometimes those guys just look so dominant, it's like the hitter can do nothing against them. I remember watching Verlander's, the end of Verlander's no-hitter just recently, and he looked untouchable. It was like no matter what pitch he threw, curveball, fastball, whatever it was, he was untouchable. And that's how Felix felt in this game. It was like everything was on. He kept hitters off balance, and I just remember it being an unbelievable pitching performance. And Felix Hernandez really the last 10, 15 years, one of the better pitchers we've seen. He's not quite how he was, obviously in his prime. Obviously, age happens, but man, he's unbelievable. And just that game in particular is unbelievable,
Yeah, I think he might have some life left in him.
I do
Learns
too.
how to pitch a little bit and goes to the Braves, good team with some hope. Something that he really never had with the Mariners.
No.
He's got a chance to maybe bounce back and kind of have a resurgence similar to CC.
Yeah.
And I think someone like CC, if he would Felix to reach out to, would be a good player to talk to. CC, even Pettit, guys like that. Messina, they all kind of had their resurgence. Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
They all kind of had their resurgence of careers.
Mm-hmm.
So he could reach out to one of those guys and kind of learn how to bounce back.
Yeah, and I believe he was looking good in spring training, too, before the season got canceled. So
and playing with a young team, like I said, but also teammates with Cole Hamels now.
Yeah.
A good guy who never really threw too hard, kind of learned how to, like a pitcher.
Yeah.
So it might be a good guy for him to kind of learn from.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
I remember exactly where I was when he threw that game, and our buddy Dom had him on fantasy, and I was working a trade for him for weeks and weeks and weeks, and he threw the perfect game, and he's like, yeah, trade's off. Like, no, I'm not trading him for sure. And I was like, well, that didn't work. But
yeah.
I was working for days and weeks trying to get him to trade him, and he wouldn't. He threw the perfect game, and that was out the window. But yeah, so the next game I got is the 2015 World Series Game 5, November 1st, 2015. Royals Mets. Great series.
Oh yeah.
Not really being a Mets fan at all. I was rooting for the Royals, but every game, the Mets had a lead in every game.
Yeah.
And the Royals would just come back and win, come back and win, come back and win. Like I said earlier, the Royals is what they did.
Mm-hmm.
For 2 years, if there was an out left, the game wasn't over.
Yeah.
But Harvey on the mound. The game started early. Grant hit the home run in the first inning, 1-0. Harvey was dominant. He wanted that game, as you've seen, and you'll see later if you watch that game later in the innings. He told Terry Collins, like, this is my game. I'm pitching. This was Dark Knight, Matt Harvey. This was like prime time, indestructible Matt Harvey.
Yeah.
And he was dominant.
He was
dominant. But I remember watching that game saying, they're going to take him out. They're going to take him out. They put Familia in, who has struggled in the series.
Yeah.
Good the year, struggled that series. They just smoked him. I don't know. Royals just had his number.
Yeah.
I remember saying they're going to take him out, I think. And I said, I think they should. Because I said, if he comes out in the ninth and pitches, and they have to take him out in the middle of an inning, they lose this game.
Yeah.
For sure. I didn't see where a reliever was going to come in and stop it. You know what I mean? Especially against that team. So I said, either take him out or he's finishing the inning.
Yeah.
And I remember him coming in, I believe he walked the first guy, and a base hit or something. And then Hosmer comes up, hits the RBI triple, or RBI double, I should say. I think there's a little bit of bobble or something out there in the outfield. But whatever, gets the RBI double off the wall. And you think that's it? Harvey to take out. They bring Familia in. That's right what I was just saying. I said that's going to be this. You can't. Especially the way things were going. And they bring Familia in. Hosmer is on third base. Salvador Perez hits the ground ball to Dave Wright. The beat up Dave Wright.
Yeah.
Spinal stenosis, and he didn't have the arm, really a real strong arm anymore. He kind of changed his arm. Everything about him throwing the ball. So he feels the ball going to his left a little bit, cut off the shortstop. Takes a look at Hosmer. Hosmer takes a couple steps down the line. Dave Wright's kind of got to take a little bit of a wind up to throw the ball because that's kind of how he was at that time because of his injuries and stuff. So right when he starts going, Hosmer takes off. And the Royals, as everyone knows, Royals had this scout report that was like make him throw the ball around, make every team throw the ball around, especially the first baseman because first basemen usually aren't the greatest throwers. Yeah. Especially the Mets like Davis or not Ike Davis, Lucas Duda.
Yeah.
Ike Davis too, but
Lucas
Duda was the first baseman, so sorry. But so that's what their thing was. There's a scout report, make him throw the ball. So he takes off. Lucas Duda grabs the ball, comes off, throws the ball, throws it nowhere near home plate, scores. Hosmer head first. Good throws out.
Yeah,
a good throw.
Yeah,
it was gonna take. It was not like he just throws it there, like a good throw. Right here, boom, out. But he throws it behind him, tied the game up, and everyone's going crazy. The dominant guy. They fought and couldn't do nothing against. They got to him. They took him out of the game. They bring Familia in, the guy who they beat up.
Yeah.
It just seemed like that was it. At that point, there's no way. This game's over. Royals are winning. The game goes on. Royals end up scoring 5 in the 12th. So at that point, you go, wow, it's over. And it was.
Yeah.
They brought in Addison Reed, and Addison Reed struggled, and I think Bartolo Colon ended up coming in the game and actually giving up an RBI triple or something like that. None of the runs were his, Addison Reed's, but he still came in the game. But and that was it. Really, that was the end of the series. That was the end of their miracle runs, the end of the Mets' miracle run, and really the end of Matt Harvey.
Yeah.
Ended Matt Harvey, getting some injuries and some stuff like that, and really he was never ever close to that again.
No.
Terry Collins was kind of done. Dave Wright was kind of done. It was just the end of that whole team, and really the end of the Royals, real supreme too.
Yeah.
They were kind of knew they were coming to the end too.
The contracts are coming up for a lot of those players. Yeah.
But it was just a great game, and I just remember sitting there watching too. Cause I remember watching stuff. They got to take Harvey out in the middle of the inning, they lose. I just don't. I can't say that the way the series went. I just couldn't see them holding them off. But had a little bit of everything. Bartolo Colon was in the game, and their scout report about making Lucas Duda throw the ball. It all just kind of made sense. And the Royals running wild. It just all made sense, especially the way the series started with Syndergaard throwing the ball over his head and or the inside the park home run, and it was just the whole series, which really makes that game even better.
Yeah.
But the game itself was great.
Yeah, I remember that series well. I remember a lot of Mets fans kind of not taking the Royals as seriously as they should have. I remember trying to tell a lot of my buddies who were Mets fans. Obviously some of our buddies are a little more well-versed in baseball. They know that the Royals were a threat. Some of my more casual baseball fans, I remember saying, listen, the Royals, that you got to get all 27 outs against them. You got to really put them away. If you leave an out for them to work with, they're going to work with it, you know?
Yeah, and I don't care what you say. Nobody could stay as hot as Daniel Murphy for that long.
Oh, my God.
So I remember saying that, and I'm like, he's not going to stay that hot. And LCS, he was unbelievable.
It was, yeah.
I'm like, you just can't stay that hot. No one has ever done it, and no one, I don't think, ever will stay that hot for that long. So in the World Series came, I'm like, and he ended up making an error that game.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't hit good. He made the error, actually a big error.
Yeah.
So it just seemed like as much as he did to get you there, when you got there, he cooled off and he kind of just, you can't blame the guy. There's nothing you could do.
No, he carried you all the way there. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, I know Mets fans at times are like, wow, I made the error. And, But you know what he did.
Yeah.
But you just couldn't stay that hot for that long, and just perfect storm. And just buzzsaw they really ran into. Yeah. A team that was destined from the year before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Win, and they won. So
I mean, regardless, great series, great two teams. I did like that Mets team a lot. Harvey at that point was unbelievable. He obviously fell from grace really far. But yeah, it's a good choice. That whole series, you could pick really any game, just about.
Yeah, or even the Royals. I believe Game 7 the year before against Giants, and should they sent them for the inside the park home run, and another great game. But this one more memorable, I think, for me.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I wish that Royals team didn't blow up so quick. It's a shame to see them really. Now they're at just about the basement again. It kind of sucks.
Nobody's there. I don't think one player from that team, Salvador Perez.
Yeah. Yeah, because Hosmer's in San Diego, and Alcides Escobar.
Maybe a pitcher here and there, maybe Danny Duffy or something like that, but there ain't money.
No, it's a kind of a shame. Anyway, to finish off my list here, last but not least, this may be the most legendary game that we've talked about yet. The break into the curse, November 2nd, 2016, World Series, Game 7, Indians-Cubs. What more do you have to say about this game? It started right off the bat. Fowler hits a leadoff home run against Kluber. And right from there, things kick off. The Indians end up tying the game in the third. Cubs end up retaking the lead in the fourth. By the eighth, it was 6-3 Cubs. And at that point, Chapman was on the Cubs, and he came into the game in the eighth, up 3 runs. And you kind of think to yourself, is this finally it for the Cubs? Did they finally do it? Did they finally get over that hump? But Chapman had been, up to that point, gassed. They used him a lot.
Yeah. Did the Cubs finally do it? Or did the Indians finally do it?
And that's what I was just going to get to, is that
somebody was doing it.
The narrative, I actually wrote this down in my notes. Both teams were looking to end a historically long World Series drought. None more historic than the Cubs, though. History was going to be made one way or another in this game. Is exactly what I wrote.
Yeah.
So Chapman comes in, 2-inning save. Like I said, he had been gassed. It's been reported enough to this point. It's been going over how much they used him, used up that arm. But Brendan Guyer hits an RBI double to make it 6-4, and then with a 2-run lead, the legendary Rajai Davis home run hit the home run off the cameraman, barely going over that.
I remember that at bat so clearly. Throwing the fastball and fastball and fastball and fastball and fastball and fastball. I said, Jesus, just throw a slider. You're throwing 100. You're throwing 100. Throw a slider.
Yep.
No one could ever hit that, and that's really why Chapman, I think, really grew into a better pitcher.
Yeah.
He throws more a slider. I remember sitting there, just throw one.
Yeah.
It could be down the middle.
Yeah.
Just anything that's not 100.
Yeah, because Rajai Davis fouled everything off.
And he's a fastball guy. He's always been. He's always been throw it, I'm hitting it. He's going to be able to hit it. He's going to be able to get his bat to it. And he's just throwing it, fouling it. If he throws, he's going to keep throwing it, and he's going to get beat.
Hey, you know what's funny about that, too, is the game was on LB Network not too long ago, and I watched it, and I watched that the last few innings there. And the next guy that came up after that to get the guy out, he threw like 3 sliders.
First pitch, he threw a slider.
Yep.
I think first 3 pitches, he threw a slider.
Yep. I remember watching the guy. Why didn't you do that the last?
Did he even pitch the next inning?
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I think he might even came out and pitched again.
I don't have that in my notes here. I'm not sure.
But I remember him hitting the home run and just being like, oh.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that year especially, and I have rooted for the Cubs in years past. That year I did want the Cubs more than the Indians.
Mm-hmm.
And after that year, I definitely faded off the Cubs with some of the players and stuff. Didn't really like them.
But at that point,
I was rooting for the Cubs. So when he hit the home run, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Everyone had the same reaction, I think, like, oh my goodness. Everybody
just typed in like Steve Bartman's address. We're going to go beat him up again. Like it was his fault.
Yeah, like he must have done something.
Yeah. He was the cameraman or something.
Yeah. So they tie the game at 6. The game stays deadlocked at 6. 10th inning. Ben Zobrist is the hero. Hits a go-ahead RBI double. Miguel Montero comes up and hits an RBI single, so they go up 2 runs, which ended up being the difference maker, that Miguel Montero RBI single, because, the next inning, the Indians come up and Rajai Davis again hits an RBI single to make it 8-7. So it's like this guy again, like it's unbelievable. And then you really start to think, are they going to blow it again? Is this really about to happen?
Cubs.
Yeah.
But then you're like Indians.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wild things. What we're missing really causes a ruckus of this.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the next batter comes up. I believe it's Jose Martinez, or I'm not 100%. He little dribbler to Chris Bryant. He has to make kind of a tough play, and he throws out the runner with plenty of room to spare. Anthony Rizzo puts. Yeah, that's right.
Slips on the throw.
Yep.
I remember seeing that. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, yeah, don't throw it away.
Yeah, throws it away and he gets shot immediately or something.
Yeah. No, Rizzo puts the ball in his pocket and the curse is broken. So that was
the rain delay. It was a rain delay.
Yeah, that's right.
Jason Hayward has this big speech, they say, and it just made sense that the Cubs blew it and the Indians, and then there's both teams. The Indians got the momentum, and the Cubs are dying, and there's a rain delay. Of course, both teams have to wait now for their chance to end a curse. It all made sense.
Yeah.
So both teams just had so much bad luck, and then the rain just topped it off.
Yeah.
It's rained on everyone's parade.
An absolutely unbelievable, legendary game. I remember exactly where I was when I watched that game. I remember watching it very vividly. It was only a few years ago, and one of the probably the greatest droughts in sports right there is the Cubs curse, and it was great to see them finally break that. It was great, and maybe now hopefully the Indians are next, because that's another one that's gone 70 years or something like that.
And it seems like we always end up on this every episode, the same topic, but they don't keep Lindor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Every episode, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great game and great series and unbelievable.
Yeah.
But so to go in some of these honorable mention games, and I have a bunch here. I'm just gonna rattle off a few. Oddly enough, today, June 1st, it's the anniversary of Johan Santana throwing his no-hitter, throwing the first Mets no-hitter.
Yep.
I watched that game. Had a buddy over. We sat down, had nothing on TV. We decided, let's watch the Mets game, or put it on. And he threw the first inning, and I was just kidding him. I'm like, no-hitter. He's throwing no-hitter. Mets never threw one. I'm like, Mets never threw one. He's like, 'cause he didn't know. He's not a baseball fan. He's like, he's throwing no-hitter. He's like, why do you say that? I'm like, no, they never throw one. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like the fifth inning, he's got no-hitter. I'm like, oh, my God. Every inning, after every inning, I'm like, no-hitter. No-hitter. And he ends, Beltran gets the base hit that they call foul. And
yeah. Yep.
The play in the outfield, but I don't remember the guy's name. He breaks his arm. He catches the ball against Molina. He smokes the wall and breaks his arm. They carry him they walk him off. His arms
It was
broken.
like Kirk Neuenhuis or something.
Yeah, I don't think it was even him. It was.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't even know who it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he made that play. And Santana throws the 134 pitch no hitter, and they won 8-0, but blew his arm out.
Yeah, that was about it for him.
He really made a comeback. He had like a 2-point something ERA that year, and he really pitched well. And
yeah,
you asked the guy, "What do you want to do? When you want to pitch? You wanted to pitch, so you give it to him."
Yeah.
But great game. Next one here, I got the infield fly game. Again, of course, the Cardinals, the Braves, October 5th, 2012. It was a wild card game. At the pop up, and the guy's kind of camping underneath it, and then he falls off of it, and the ball drops. They call it infield fly. Everybody's running. No one knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Braves, get out, like a double play or something crazy, and they start throwing stuff on the field, and things are going crazy.
Yeah.
Chipper Jones' last game, so it was all a big mess.
Yeah, it was.
The next one here, October 2nd, 2018, the 2018 wildcard game, Colorado versus Chicago. Cubs went 2-1, 13 innings. Tony Walters hit the walk-off base hit up the middle.
Yep.
We were watching that game. I believe I was talking with you at the time. We were watching it together, whatever it was. But that was a crazy game. Next one here, October 12th, 2012, NLDS Game 5, the Cardinals versus the Nationals. Cardinals were down 6 after 3 innings at one point, and down 4 late in the game. It's most memorable for Strasburg not pitching.
Yeah.
Because of his arm, and that for many years it worked. They finally won a World Series, so I guess you could finally put that to sleep.
Yeah.
But
finally,
at that time, it was like it didn't work.
Yeah.
So again, Cardinals. It seems like a lot of Cardinals.
Yeah.
But another one I have October 11th, 2003, ALCS Game 3, Yankees 4, Boston 3. Don Zimmer gets thrown down by Pedro. They get the big brawl. I'll never forget that. I was watching it, and as a young kid, I was only 7, 8 years old, and I just remember him getting thrown down, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
That was not supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's not right.
Another one, August 7th, 2009, Yankees 2, Boston nothing, 15 innings, A-Rod just a walk-off home run. Just remember that because I watched like a lot of that game, and then I fell asleep for like 2 innings, and I woke up and they were still playing. I'm like, is it going to end? And then A-Rod finally comes up, hits the home run. Next one, October 7th, 2011, NLDS Game 5, Cardinals 1, Phillies nothing. Skip Schumacher gets an RBI double in the first inning, and that's it. Chris Carpenter, complete game shutout. Roy Halladay, 8 innings, 1 run. That was it, 1-0. And that ended the series. Obviously, it was a deciding game.
Was that game where Chris Carpenter, you see him ripping his shirt off and stuff? He's yelling in the middle of the big dog pile.
Yeah. Really, kind of the end of Chris Carpenter.
Yeah.
That was about the end of him.
Yeah.
Maybe pitch one more year, I think, maybe.
One more, yeah, because, yeah.
But, yeah, similar to Wainwright, kind of multiple Tommy Johns and stuff like that. But really good career.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he was buddies with Roy Halladay, too, so it was kind of...
I think you're right.
They were teammates at Toronto, I believe, and they were kind of buddies, so it kind of went back and forth. But
yeah,
so that's a really was a really great game.
Kind of end of the Phillies too.
Yeah,
really, you know.
Yeah. Next one, October 23, 2005, World Series Game 2. The White Sox 7, Houston 6. Konerko, it's a grand slam. As a Konerko fan and some of them White Sox, Scott Posednik, it's the end of the walk-off home run that game. Joe Creed was on that team. Jermaine Dye, terrible the way his career kind of ended.
Yeah.
But some of the players on that team really liked him, especially Paul Konerko. So I remember watching him at the Grand Slam. I don't remember much of the game, too much, but I know Konerko at the Grand Slam, Posednik at the walk-off. I watched that kind of stuff. I believe Pettit pitched that game, started that game for the Astros, I believe. So there's a bunch of names in that, in that field. Jeff Bagwell and guys like that.
Yeah.
The last one here, October 4th, 2017, the wild card game for the National League. Arizona 11, Colorado 8. Archie Bradley hits like a 3 or I don't have it exactly here. I think it's a 2 RBI triple or 3 RBI triple in like the 6th inning because he comes in to pitch and stays in the hit.
Yeah.
And he just kept fighting pitches and hits a triple.
Yeah.
That's a pitcher. Relief pitcher.
Yeah.
So the back and forth game was wild. So we did that, and then the Rockies scored a bunch, and then got right back into within 1. Every time they got within run, Arizona would score a bunch. So it was just back and forth, and I remember watching that, and I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
so,
I vaguely remember that too.
But there's so many games.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
even you're going to go into a bunch here. I mean, there's so many. Boo was hitting home run off Brad Lidge. I mean, a bunch of other Yankee games. I mean, there's just so many, but
these
are some that really stand out for some sort of moment, some sort of thing, or some sort of historical event or something. But there's so many, so I'm sure we missed probably 1,000.
Yeah. There's an infinite amount of games we could talk about if you really gave us the time to think about it. And Yankee games, we could go into them till we're blue in the face.
Twins, fair ball, they called foul.
With Joe Mauer. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many good games.
Yeah. Yeah, but to go into some of my honorable mentions here, you already named some of them. You kind of spoke for me with some of those games. I remember a lot of those well. But 5 that I've got here that stick out really in my mind. The first one I want to talk about is the Red Sox Tigers 2013 ALCS Game 2. The game where Ortiz hit that grand slam and Torrey Hunter went head over heels at the cop with holding his arms up and in the bullpen. Unbelievable game. I believe Joaquin Benoit gave up that grand slam. I remember watching that game and obviously rooting against the Red Sox. And I'm like, if he hits a grand slam here, I'm just turning the TV off. And there it goes, grand slam. I did not turn the TV off though. I kept watching.
A liar.
Yeah.
You're a liar. That's all right.
No, I remember that game being really good. That 2013 Red Sox team was a really good team of destiny. They played really well. The whole Boston bombing stuff.
He turned the channel and went right back.
Yeah,
He turned the TV off and was like, what am I doing? And turned the TV right back on.
Yeah.
So.
What do I turn the game off right when it's tied? Come on.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a theme here with some of the games I'll talk about. But the next game I want to talk about is Yankees Red Sox. Another 2013 game. It's the A-Rod and Dempster game. Where Dempster was intentionally throwing at A-Rod. A-Rod was going through, obviously, all the steroid stuff. All that stuff was coming out with the Tony Bosch stuff, I believe, at that time. And A-Rod, I think Dempster missed him like 3 times or something like that. They threw at him 3 times and finally hit him. And he didn't get thrown out of the game, unbelievably.
Girardi exploded.
Yeah, I think that was the maddest I ever seen Girardi.
Yeah, it came out like... No, I think it came out with his hat already off.
Yeah.
That's what surprised me. I'm like, where's your hat?
He was already... Yeah.
Like, it's already off.
Yeah.
What are you doing? No one comes out with no hat on already.
Yeah, but much respect to, believe it or not, much respect to A-Rod's game there. He didn't do much. I don't think he charged him out or nothing. I think he just took his base. I believe the next at-bat or 2 at-bats after, I believe it was the next at-bat, he crushed one to center field off Dempster and really showed him up.
And there's more stuff that came out about that recently, and A-Rod has been a lot open with it. he said he got on first base and he was really kept to himself and he was really angry. So
Yeah.
he got in the dugout and he exploded.
Yeah.
He went back into the locker room and just exploded and lost it.
Yeah.
Then he got his next at bat and he said he was locked in on hitting Dempster in the forehead.
Yeah.
He was gonna hit one back at him. He ended up missing him by 450 feet to
Yeah.
field. But
Yeah.
that's crazy. He tried hitting one right out and he hit right over his head about 432 feet or something crazy
Yeah.
like that. But
He pumped his fist and all that
yeah,
stuff.
and he said he was just yelling around the bases.
He was.
going around the bases. He's just like
Yeah.
yelling. He stepped on the plate and he was just like, "What are you looking at?"
Yeah.
He was angry.
Yeah, for good reason. Not that A-Rod, what he did, obviously at the start itself is justified, but Dempster was, just throw at him and hit him, or just throw at him, instead of throwing at him 4 times in a row, and he got you back. So, that was also on my birthday, so a little extra nod there too. That was awesome to watch on my birthday. Next, I want to talk about is Cardinals Red Sox 2013 World Series, specifically the Alan Craig interference game. A game that I don't want to go into too much, with the exception of that ending, that infamous ending. I believe it was Will Middlebrooks and Alan Craig. They trip around each other at third base, and the call isn't made that there's interference until there's a play at the plate where they throw him out.
Yeah.
Jared Saltalamacchia, I believe, puts a tag on him.
Alan Craig's moving at like 7 miles per hour.
Yeah, he literally.
At that point. Like he was so slow. Like he got up from third base and like he didn't know how to run.
Yeah,
He
the
was
ball
like,
was in the
wow, wow,
outfield.
wow.
He had plenty of time to score, and they end up throwing him out. I believe that was like a double play essentially at that point. And the umpire didn't make the call until that play, so it made it seem like it was just they made that call almost to screw the Red Sox. You know what I mean?
Alan
So
Craig had the foot injury too, I believe, and then that really progressed it too.
Yeah.
I believe he had a foot injury that year, which really caused a big problem in his career.
yeah, and at that point, Alan Craig was just an RBI machine. He was unbelievable.
Unbelievable that year. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, he was unbelievable. He was one of the best hitters in baseball, if not
Yeah.
the best hitter in baseball. He batted like 500 people in scoring position. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
He had a foot injury, and then he did that, which hurt it again, or further hurt it. Will Middlebrooks, broke his arm like 7 times, and had a lot of injuries himself.
yeah.
But yeah, that was a crazy game. I think was that the same game Colton Wong got picked off to end it?
No, I
Same
don't.
series.
It was the same series for sure, but I don't think because that was what was it? Koji Uehara for the Red Sox, I believe, did it. I don't think it was the same game though. No, it couldn't have been because this ended the game. That interference call ended the game, so it was maybe the game before, or it was at Busch Stadium, both of them. But yeah, so that was a crazy series. Red Sox
ran as a rookie and got picked off to end the
Yeah,
game.
not a great start to in people's eyes, and that's a great start to his career. Next game I'll talk about Pirates Reds wild card game, one of the first wild card games again that we've talked about. The infamous Cueto dropping the ball, PNC Park rocking, and you could see just the nerves going through Cueto, and another unbelievable wild card game. Pirates getting that win, I believe.
Yeah. And their first playoff game since '92.
Yeah.
The Pirates. So that's what really made crazy, and a great stadium that we've been to, and they deserve.
Yeah.
Fans, well, I don't know. Pittsburgh fans kind of win a lot, but
Yeah.
baseball Pittsburgh fans really deserved.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, when they got there, that stadium was going crazy, and they're yelling, they're screaming, they're chanting Johnny Cueto's name. He's the opposing pitcher. He drops the ball. I'm like, what is going on? That's like the first inning.
Yeah, yeah.
We got 9 more innings or 8 more innings of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. I'll never forget that one. Dusty Baker.
Of course.
Man. Ruckus.
Yeah, that was a fantastic game. Like I said, the wild card games tend to be pretty memorable games, especially around this time when they were just first kind of coming out. And the last one I want to talk about is the Red Sox Dodgers 2018 World Series. The 18-inning walk-off, Max Muncy off Nathan Eovaldi. One of the longest games I ever watched. I watched from front to back. I watched just about that whole game. I was down in Florida at the time for a wedding, and everyone was asleep in the house except me. I was like, I got to see this game out. I've already watched this far. It's got to end at some point. And it went until about 3 a.m. or so, at least East Coast, because it was in L.A. So for them, it was only midnight, just about. Yeah. So for us, it was 3 a.m. It was like, oh my gosh.
And I remember that game too because I believe it was a Friday night. It started.
I believe you're right. Yeah.
And I believe me and a couple of friends, we played softball, and we ended up going back to my cousin's house to watch some of the game. And me and my buddy were like, we're not leaving until the game's over. And then it got to about like the 13th inning, and we were like, okay, well, we're leaving.
Yeah.
Because it was, many more we weren't going to be able to leave, So
yeah, you still had 5 more.
We got to go.
Yeah.
Because we can't keep sitting here because he's going to keep drinking, and we're going to get a big ruckus.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, we don't know how long this game's ending. So we're like, all right, let's just leave. So I ended up going home and watching 5 more innings. Like
half a game.
Yeah. Oh my God, I remember that one because I just remember being like, we're staying until it's over. And it was like the 13th, and I'm like, I'm leaving.
And that was a big game for the Dodgers too, because had the Red Sox won that game, they would have went up 3-0, and that's at that point that's basically it. So they at least made the series 2-1, make it a little more competitive. Red Sox ended up winning the series pretty easily, but that's still that was a big win. Yeah, of course they can't seem to just get over that hump either for some reason. I know you love it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well, as you expect when you get guys like Kershaw who can't pitch.
Yeah, well, I talked about it earlier.
Right?
Yeah,
home runs.
8 home runs in one postseason.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the honorable mentions I got. I know that you threw out your honorable mentions. So is there any other games that you just want to mention real quick? Any stick out in your head, or?
I don't know. We mentioned so many. I mean, there's just so many.
Talked about what? Just about 20 of them, right?
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many. Even some regular season games. The Yankees hit like 3 grand slams in a game or whatever, and the Giants, Travis Tsukawa hitting a home run, and there's so many games that you watch and you just remember Sandoval at 3 home runs, and
Giants, Cardinals, Hunter Pence hitting the ball 3 times in one swing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many.
Yeah,
so many games. When you watch so many games, especially when you have a team. Yankees in your market who are on every day, except for that one year.
Yeah.
That you see so many games, and you watch MLB Network and you watch Sports Center and you watch stuff like that. So you see many highlights, and then TBS runs games, and there's Sunday night game or Sunday day games, and there's Sunday night games, Wednesday day games. You know what I mean? They have the special games, and Dallas Braden on the Mother's Day perfect game. I mean, there's so many. There's just so many. But yeah, it's just. When you're a real, baseball fan, that's what you do. You watch so many games that you just remember so many of them for whatever reason. It could be something stupid, or it could be one of the most memorable games you ever seen or ever been played, which, like we said, like Game 6, 2011. I mean, it's just, it always finds, every game seems to find a way to, something different for you to see. Find a way to catch your attention. And catches everybody's attention a little bit different. So it's just... Hopefully we can get back.
Yeah, it's making me miss baseball even more. Talking
and
about
see some games. Really, just just keep watching, keep seeing great games played with none of these crazy rule changes, and just I don't know.
Yeah.
Just get back to watching baseball.
Yeah, let's get back to some normalcy.
Because no matter what you do, it's the best sport, I think.
I agree.
And it's America's pastime, no matter what you say. So.
Agreed.
Hopefully we get back soon, and baseball's closing in, and hopefully it's not that 50-game plan because that's terrible.
Yeah, we're hearing a bunch of rumors and deals, and it's everywhere at this point. Who knows what the truth is?
But stick to some of our game philosophy here, and extra innings of a lot of these games, especially I mentioned extra innings. The trivia question for the week.
Yep.
So this week's trivia question is, what is the longest professional baseball game? Not MLB game, professional baseball game. And the answer is, it was 33 innings. It was a AAA game between the Pawtucket Red Sox and the Rochester Red Wings.
Unbelievable.
AAA game, and it started April 18th in 1981. It played into April 19th, and then still didn't finish. They had a replay or finished the game June 23rd, 1981. So that game was played on 3 days.
Unbelievable.
Started on the 18th, played past midnight on the 19th, or on the 18th to get to the 19th, and then finished in June 23rd. Yeah, 33 innings. It was 8.5 hours.
Unbelievable.
So you go to work that day, and you go home, and they were just finishing.
Wasn't the when they finally finished, wasn't it when they just about restarted, there was a run, it basically ended real quick right after they started, I believe so?
They stopped at the 32 innings, and then the next inning was over.
Yeah. That's
3-2.
Yeah.
And there was some names in that game. I believe Cal Ripken played in that game, and there was some major league names in that game. But yeah, that's the longest professional baseball game. So I thought that was fitting to go along with this episode where we talk about playoff games and extra innings and 20-inning games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
it's almost 4 games.
Yeah.
Of baseball.
Go look at some of the stats in that game. I believe a guy struck out 7 times in that game. Like, there was just so much. Like, I think someone had like 15 at bats. or 14 at bats, 15 plate appearances, or something like that.
It's a whole series worth
Imagine
of
if you were
bats.
hot that day.
Oh man.
Imagine you were like 12 for 15. Like, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I could go like 0 for my next 15.
Yeah.
And I'm still batting like 300.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Imagine you're awful. Like that one guy he had 7 strikeouts.
Yeah, talk about demoralizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
You're done. Just send me down.
Yeah.
I'm already in AAA. Just send me home.
Yeah. I'm good. That's all I
Yeah.
needed.
He's probably the guy that came back on the 23rd and hit a home run or something, take the lead.
Yeah.
Hey, so
I'd like to think you have something going.
different days, like, I'm winning. Let's go. But yeah, so that's a trivia question. I thought that was a good one to fit into our episode this week.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, you have any final notes, comments, anything final?
No, it's pretty much it. Good episode. And if you got any games or memorable games or favorite games that you guys watched, in your lifetimes, share them with us. Comments or message, whatever.
Yeah.
And, we'll have another episode next week. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be, but it might be hoping we have a fantasy draft this coming week. So hopefully we'll do another, fantasy episode where we go into a deep dive into our personal league.
Yeah.
And kind of break down each team.
Yeah.
Kind of see who's got a good team, which, who we think's going to be real competitors and stuff like that. So that'd be a fun episode.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for the draft. I want to see, just feels like some normalcy there. Get in the draft and get excited for baseball and seeing the players and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess until then, you can follow me on Twitter at Real Mike Lepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at Screwball Pod. You can follow us on Facebook at Screwball Pod, no E and Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Take care.